Hey guys, Vytas here. And I want to give you a couple tips on a certain transition that is a very classical transition. In fact, we might talk about more than one, but from warrior two, coming into a pose like triangle, or maybe even side angle. So the reason why this transition is so classical, because warrior two, right? Warrior two is what we call an externally rotated posture. What's externally rotating? The front leg is externally rotating, right? So I'm standing up here, and my legs are neutral, right? In warrior two, that front leg is turning out, so out external. It's an externally rotated pose, and the same thing with triangle. Triangle pose is also an externally rotated pose, meaning the position of the femur in the hip socket doesn't really change from warrior two to triangle. That's why it's such a great transition, but there's a couple subtleties in it I want to discuss. So if I'm in warrior two here and I want to take it into triangle, there's two things I want you to make sure you notice, all right? So I can straighten this leg and lean out. The first thing I want you to notice is that I'm lengthening through the bottom side of my waist, all right? And that's really important to elongate through this side of the waist as you transition, because what I see oftentimes in class, go straighten the leg and round. There's no space through the side body, okay? If you're coming into triangle pose, you create that space through the side body as you transition into it, but don't lose it when you put the hand down. When you put the hand down, keep that space. I'll oftentimes see students do a great transition. They straighten and lengthen, and then they collapse. Don't collapse. Straighten, lengthen, and then just spread the arms. So that's how you want to come into triangle pose. Now, it's another thing you can do to come into triangle pose that might be helpful, especially if you're feeling tighter in your body, all right? Or if you're newer to the practice. What I would recommend, especially if you're newer, is to shorten your stance. So from warrior two, straighten the leg, and then scoot the back foot in a little bit. And it's also very important in triangle pose to remember, your back foot, just like in warrior two, should be angled in slightly. So I'm not squaring my hips. My hips are actually turned in a little bit, all right? And that is informed by the position of the back foot. And as I lean out, it's also really important to remember, I'm not locking that front knee. All right, my front leg is straight, but the knee here is not locked or hyperextended because you're going to put a lot of pressure in that knee. So, recap. Nice long warrior two. I straighten the leg. You can bring your hands to your waist to help you. Just bring that back foot in a little bit. Make sure it turns in slightly. Create length through the side. The knee is not locked. And then spread the arms. Okay? So it's really important to remember those little subtle parts of the transition. Now, something like side angle pose, we call Parsvakonasana, creating length is just as important, except the feet and the legs are not going to change, right? So I'm going to keep my knee bent. I'm going to keep my back foot heavy. I'm going to lean out. And depending on what your teacher tells you, maybe fingers on the inside or fingers on the outside. But the idea is the same. In the side body, you want to lean out, create that space. Keep the space as you put your hand down. Okay, so whatever variation you go into, the transitions are all about maintaining that elongation and that spacious body, right? Nice long spine. And that's where you're going to get the most benefits of the practice from, okay? So remember those tips, and I'll see you guys on the mat.